Guys, welcome back to another Precocious YouTube video. Today we got our top 24 wide receivers for week 12 of fantasy football. And boys, before we get into it, check out our free chalkboard. It's the first link in the description. The main thing on the chalkboard is we got our full rankings. On here, we only post our top 24 wide receivers. On chalkboard, we got top 48. We post our RB rankings, QB rankings, tight end rankings. We got trade advice, waiver wire targets. So much free matchup winning advice on our chalkboard. Go download it. Free app. First link in the description. Wide receiver 1 this week, Tyreek Hill. He has been awesome. He is on pace, I believe, to break the all-time receiving yards record. That is insane. Dolphins' awesome offense has been awesome. Absolutely love Tyreek Hill. At wide receiver 2, we got Devontae Adams. Devontae's been on an absolute tear recently. Past 3 games, 25 plus points, averaging around 13, 14, maybe even 15 targets over that time span. He's been cooking. Clearly Derek Carr's favorite target. Even though this offense is terrible, Devontae Adams is still getting his work. He's a great start. Wide receiver 3 is Stephon Diggs. Didn't have the greatest of weeks last week. Still had a touchdown, so still was solid, but just not the normal numbers you're used to seeing from Stephon Diggs. But this week on Thanksgiving, an amazing matchup against the Lions. Lions defense has been awful. Love the upside here. And next up, at wide receiver 4, we got Justin Jefferson. Jefferson, 2 weeks ago against the Bills, was looking insanely elite. Last week, again, the Vikings just got killed by the Cowboys. Less than 7 fantasy points. 6.3, I think it was. It was terrible showing for Justin Jefferson. This week, though, on Thanksgiving, we think he can bounce back against the Patriots. The Patriots are super elite against RBs. They're mid against wide receivers. It's not a good, not a bad matchup, but with Justin Jefferson, we're hoping for the bounce back. First player on the next tier, we got DeAndre Hopkins. He has been getting absolutely force-fed lately, especially with Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy force feeds him the ball. Even Kyler gives him tons of targets. If you're in a PPR league, he is an elite wide receiver. Next up, at wide receiver 6, another guy that had a disappointing week last week, it's CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb against the Giants. Not an amazing matchup, not terrible. A bit maybe on the tougher side. The Giants' defense is pretty good, but they are pretty injured at cornerback. CeeDee Lamb 2 weeks ago absolutely balled out last week again. Like I said, a little disappointing, but with a decent matchup, he's a great player and a great play in week 12. Next up, this is just on the chance that he plays. If Jamar Chase plays, has to be a wide receiver 1. Always has crazy upside. Again, not expecting him to play, but he has that upside. Next up, at wide receiver 8, we got A.J. Brown. Against the Packers are pretty good against wide receivers. A.J. Brown the past 2 weeks has been pretty disappointing. 9 points last week, less than 2 the week before. But him and Devontae Smith with Dallas Goedert out get basically every single target in this offense. He should get volume. The matchup's tough, but he still is a wide receiver 1. First player in this next year, Jalen Waddle. Same thing with Tyreek Hill. This offense has been awesome. So fun to watch. Both the receivers have been balling out. But again, Tyreek is the 1, Waddle is the 2. And next up, at wide receiver 10, we got Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's going against the Bills. It's a tough matchup, but we expect Detroit to go down in this game, have to throw this ball, and the only real wide receiver on the Lions right now, if Jameson Williams doesn't play, is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Tons of targets for him, clearly leading the team, has touchdown upside, hasn't gotten a ton of touchdowns the past couple weeks, but at the start of the season, he was cooking with TDs. We think he could get back to that. He's a great play. Next up, we got T. Higgins. Might even be slightly higher, basically the same if Chase does or does not play. This Titans defense has been horrible against wide receivers. Definitely love the upside for both Chase if he plays and Higgins this week. And lastly, last player in the tier, our wide receiver 12, we have Mike Evans. Mike Evans has insane touchdown upside. Hasn't been getting a lot of touchdown recently, but he should get back to it very soon. Big red zone threat, should get more red zone targets. He does get a good amount of yards. Him and Godwin are looking comparable for targets, looking comparable for yards. But again, the touchdown should be going more to Mike Evans. He's a good start in week 12. Next up, we got Keenan Allen. This is us assuming Mike Williams doesn't play. Was hoping he would play last week. He did a little bit, then aggravated his ankle. Keenan looked great, though. He was awesome. Had that great fourth quarter catch. Again, Herbert likes to lean on him. He has great PPR upside, and it's a pretty solid matchup against the Cardinals. Now, wide receiver 14, we have Amari Cooper. We were kind of dogging on Amari Cooper for being away last week. We were saying maybe sit him. He has been terrible away all year. What does he do? Puts up over 30 fantasy points. He balled out. Now it's looking like Amari Cooper has to be started every single week, no matter if he's away or he's at home. He does still play better at home. And this week he is at home against Tampa. Tampa great against RBs, not amazing against wide receivers. Again, Amari's this clear wide receiver 1 for Cleveland. We love him this week. Next up, we got Chris Olave. Olave had a little bit of a dry patch, but last week had that 50-yard touchdown. Had, I want to say, 20 fantasy points. He was super, super good. Definitely like him as a high-end wide receiver too. And at wide receiver 16, we have Christian Kirk. He was on bye last week, but before that, he's been on an absolute tear. Had a 30-plus point game in the near past. But again, he's this clear wide receiver 1 for Jacksonville. They do go down in this game against the Ravens. Expect throws, expect lots of targets to Christian Kirk. First player in the next tier, we got Michael Pittman. With Matt Ryan back as a starter, Pittman's value definitely does go up. With Sam Ehlinger, he just wasn't great. Again, Matt Ryan likes to throw to him, throws a lot more passes, has a lot more throwing yards just in general. This offense is just better with Matt Ryan, like Pittman. Again, obviously better with Matt Ryan. And at wide receiver 18, we have Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin was a buy-on last week. The week before against Seattle in London, finally scored that touchdown. Finally got in the end zone. He gets a good amount of targets. Finally showed some touchdown upside, even though we like Mike Evans more in the end zone. Should still get yards, though. Gets targets, is a good play. Next up, we got Deebo Samuel. This might be a little low for Deebo, but there are just so many mouths to feed in the Stanford offense. Kittle, CMC, Ayuk, Deebo, so many good players. Again, they were all amazing last week, but we just can't expect that every single week. There are going to be some weeks where some of them have down weeks. And it's a bit of a tough matchup. New Orleans has a great defense. So like Deebo, just don't love the upside. And at wide receiver 20, we're hoping he's suiting up. It's Juju Smith-Schuster. Before he went down with that concussion, he was balling out, getting a lot of targets, was looking like this clear target number 2 for the Chiefs after Travis Kelce. Again, the matchup is decent. Juju Smith-Schuster was balling out. Hopefully he can suit up in week 12. First player in the last tier, we got DK Metcalf. Seahawks offense has been so good. Geno has been awesome. DK has been great. Even Lockett has been great. Again, every team is playing this week, so there's going to be a ton of good receivers, but we still like him as a low-end receiver too. And at wide receiver 22, we have his teammate Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett and DK seems like they're pretty similar in fantasy. Both get similar targets, both get similar touchdowns. Before the year, we think DK may be quite a bit better, but with Geno Smith playing well, they're both getting their targets, both getting their work. We both like him in week 12. And at wide receiver 23, we got Gabe Davis. Again, like Diggs, awesome matchup on Thanksgiving against the Lions, who have a horrible defense. Again, great upside here against a horrible defense like Gabe Davis at wide receiver 23. And our last player of the video, we have Devontae Smith. Him and AJ Brown right now, we're getting basically all the targets in Philadelphia after Dallas Goedert goes down. Again, they don't pass the ball a lot, but if they somehow go down in a game, maybe not this week, but in the near future, it's going to be AJ Brown and it's going to be Devontae Smith getting the targets, getting the yards. He's a solid play in week 12. And boys, thank you so much for watching the video. Again, check out our free chalkboard with all of our extra rankings. Again, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.